Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are FC.
With a 4-run ninth inning and a 2-out 7-run inning, and with heads-up base running, these Royals continue to create new ways to win games. Tonight, there is not much creativity required. They'll just simply hand the ball to Johnny Cueto. Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, and with the best home record in the American League, the Royals have won the first 2 games of a 4-game series with the Baltimore Orioles. Hi everyone, welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. For about a decade, a lot of you Royals fans remember that the Royals played well at Kauffman Stadium, but when you put 30,000 fans in the ballpark, the Royals did not play well at all. And boy, has that changed.
It sure has. October erased that, along with the doubts of the players. They all are confident, they believe, especially right here at home.
It's a team with a lot of talented players. It is a team with a passionate fan base. And our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard shows us how much the Royals have thrived here at Kauffman Stadium.
It's the energy. It's the talent on the field, there's no question about it, but they feed off of that 10th fan, and that is the fans here at the K that have come alive. They're coming out of the woodworks from all over the country, all jumping on the wagon. Why? Because they should. It's an extremely talented ball club and fun to watch.
And the excitement seems to go to another level when Johnny Cueto pitches at Kauffman Stadium. He gets to start tonight, and Joel and Monty will talk about his home success right after this.
Game 4 starter from the ALCS that lost 2-1, lost to the Royals again last night. Tonight it's Wei-Yin Chen on the hill, and he lost 2-1 in Game 3 of the ALCS. Perhaps he will lose again to the Royals, but pitching well more recently. Joel Goldberg, Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery back here at Kauffman Stadium. and so is Johnny Cueto, coming off of, for him, a very rare rough start, and that's been the case in his career. Not very many of them. What went wrong last time?
Well, in Boston last Friday night, he had everything up in the strike zone, just unable to really kind of get that consistency that we're accustomed to seeing Johnny have. And as a result, unable to make big pitches with runners in scoring position. One of the toughest games of his career. But now coming back to Kansas City, pitched really well here in this ballpark. Had a shutout in Kansas City, and he's really good in general this year at home. 5-1 record. And in Cincinnati, that's more of a hitter's park. It should only get better here. He's got great defense here, and it's a great great pitcher's ballpark, so he will do much better here in Kauffman Stadium.
And Johnny Cueto walking in right now, ready to make his third home start as a Royal. The crowd is ready. First pitch coming up next.
By the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gets back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. And by your Kansas City Chevy dealers. Visit your local Chevy dealers today for great prices on all the new 2015 vehicles. Baltimore Orioles have dropped to 8 games back in the East. The Yankees have lost already today. And Baltimore now 2.5 back in the wild card, but they have 4 teams to pass. They will try and snap a 6-game losing streak against Johnny Cueto, and Kia puts us in the driver's seat. Cueto not only tough against righties, but even more difficult to hit for left-hand batters. And only Jake Arrieta, along with Cueto, is a right-hand pitcher on that list. Did he get that confused with a cookie?
Maybe so.
He throws some cheese every now and then, doesn't he?
He's got a little fuzz on that fastball, believe it.
The Orioles have scored just 15 runs during their 6-game losing streak, which is a season-high losing streak. And I think it's no coincidence that Manny Machado, one of the guys that makes the offense go, has hit about 150 during the Orioles losing streak. And the Royals defensively tonight, presented by Ford.
It's always great to see Paulo Orlando back in that lineup. This guy has worked hard. 10-year career minor leaguer, and he's making his mark with the boys in royal blue. Doing a good job on that defense. He runs down every ball and plays with a sense of urgency like there's no tomorrow. Can't wait to see what he can do tonight, possibly.
There's John Hirschbeck, the crew chief. He'll be at second base. And calling the balls and strikes is Joe West. And the last time Joe West put that mask on here at Kauffman Stadium, Johnny Cueto threw a shutout against the Detroit Tigers. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Ouch.
And Machado fouls the first pitch of the game off of his ankle.
Right. Well, there's not a lot of Orioles that have ever faced him before. And they all know he throws his fastball 90 to 94. Okay, that would 94 would be considered cheese to me. 2 and 4 seam fastball. He'll sink it. Cutter. Curveball, slider, change. He throws all of his pitches to both sides of the plate at any count.
Speeds up his motion. I'm sure Machado hasn't seen much of that this year, and he had a smile on his face as he took a strike.
Different looks. Quick pitch. Over rotating the hips. He'll do that little rocking chair thing. So he's the thing that Salvi likes most about him is he works quickly. He works fast, and he throws strikes.
Escobar throws out Machado, 1 down. And Johnny Cueto rather on Friday against the Red Sox allowed 13 hits. That's the most hits he's ever allowed in his career, and he's made 218 starts. He also allowed a season high 7 runs. The Royals lost that game 7-2. And the Red Sox, on the radio side doing the game with Denny that day, we felt like the Red Sox, especially their younger hitters, were very aggressive with Cueto. They did not allow him to get ahead in the count.
No, and it helped a lot that his pitches were all elevated. And he could not make adjustments. Pitches were up. We weren't used to seeing that, and neither was he, and he couldn't make the adjustments.
Hit hard to center field. Parra has a lot of past success against Cueto. This time he hits into an out. So for a guy who's had 218 career starts and has had a bad one every now and then, I'm sure he knows how to wipe the slate clean. But what adjustments does he make tonight?
Well, he wasn't on line, and that means his shoulder and his direct line towards home plate was off. Shoulder was pulling off, flying open, and his direction to the plate was off. And you know, Dave Eiling was explaining that to me and how to make those adjustments, and he said just stay on line and stay down in the zone with that shoulder. Pretty simple, but he couldn't make the adjustment in Fenway. So far he looks like he's staying down in the zone. It's like that. That sinker, he didn't throw too many good pitches at all in that Boston series. Everything seemed to be elevated, and they didn't miss it. They were hot.
And that was part of it too. I mean, it wasn't all Cueto. The Red Sox were in a stretch of games where they were seeing the ball well, piling up the runs.
Stay on line, control that shoulder as a pitcher and a hitter, and you're going to have some success.
Over the outside, 1-2 on Jones, who appears to be a little frustrated with the strike zone. He walks halfway between home plate and the dugout after that pitch, and Joe West watched every step and made eye contact with Jones to make sure that that wasn't directed at him. 2-2.
Well, Joe West, back before they all became unified together in one whole umpiring crew, he was in the National League, and he ran that league. He had a much bigger attitude, and he wasn't afraid to yell at you, and you know, he was a kind of an umpire that he controlled the game, and he wanted everybody to know that. Now he's changed a lot, he's mellowed, but he still has that in him.
Well, all due respect to the sign that we saw before the first pitch, that was some cheese. 95 miles an hour to get Adam Jones
At the knees.
The magic number. Well, here's our first night. Royals magic number in winning the Central is 25. So any combination of Royals victories and Minnesota losses that add up to 25, and the Royals win the division. Their magic number for the best record is 31. And right now it's the Blue Jays by a few percentage points who have the second best record in the American League, and the Royals have a 7-game lead over them. Strike one to Alcides Escobar, and now he is questioning Joe West strike zone.
Royals know what they're going to see from him. Fastball, slider, changeup, and a curve. And that curveball, it's a slow one. He'll flip that thing up there, and it seems like he uses that pitch a lot to throw off the timing of the lefties and the righties that are in there. More right-handers. Just Hosmer and Moose are the only lefties he'll face.
3-pitch strikeout for Chen to begin his outing.
First pitch of the game, Esky thought that was off the plate, and it was, and he was a little shocked to see that Joe called it a strike, but what you gonna do?
Chen has pitched very well in his last 3 starts. His overall ERA is 3.13.
He's been their most effective starter. So the Royals will be in a test tonight. Now you just saw that last pitch. He loves to come inside with that heater to righties. Opens up the outside part of the plate. Pretty good fastball there. He averages around 92 miles an hour, but he's got some cheese of his own. Ooh.
It's the same pitch that got Escobar, a hard biting slider.
Ooh.
2 down. Lorenzo Cain bats third. He comes to the plate. And Paulo Orlando, we showed you Orlando starts for the first time since the 11th of this month. He is in right field, and Alex Rios is getting a game off. Maybe the game he was supposed to get off on Saturday in Boston. Cain with a base hit into right field. Parra will cut it off, and Cain is on with 2 outs. Both Lorenzo Cain and Alex Rios were supposed to get days off on Saturday, but Ned Yost wanted to avoid a long losing streak, so he put them in there, and the Royals have gone on to win 4 straight. Here are the Orioles defensively, and we've talked about the arms that they have in the outfield, and they've been very stingy with errors. They have committed a major league low 53 errors this season, but they have 4 in their last 3 games.
Yep, they can throw. Jones has 11 of those outfield assists. Good defense, good offense, got some power in there, good bullpen. Starting pitching, question mark. And if you don't have starting pitching, it's tough to win up here.
Fastball inside, so good left-hand pitcher would give a left-hand hitter a bad time. Right. No, not Eric Hosmer. 7 out of 17 with 2 home runs against Wei Yin Chen. One and one.
Chin is quick home, but he has an average move to first for a lefty. Now, if you ask me, a lefty just looking at you, here's a good move. But he doesn't do anything tricky over there.
Did you ever play against Teddy Higuera?
I did.
Was Higuera the guy, maybe I got to confuse with someone else, but was he the guy that managed the running game so well but never threw to first base, or hardly ever threw to first base?
I agree with that. I believe that's the guy. We'll have to look him up.
Hosmer with a 1-hopper to Scope. So Chen strikes out 2, gives up a hit, and has a scoreless first inning. Hashtag KC Data Strong Fan. You just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast, as in perhaps tonight. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Hashtag KC Data Strong Fan. That's where you want to pitch Chris Davis. We've been mentioning that all series. A good low ball hitter.
Yeah, and, you know, he loves that low pitch. He can lift it. I mean, he has the ability to hit it to all fields. He's got a tremendous uppercut swing. Great bottom hand. Takes that bottom hand right to it.
And that puts an end to an 0 for 16 for Davis. And he's digging for second. So the Orioles begin the second inning with a runner in scoring position and nobody out.
Change up. You see that change up grip? Just left it up. If it's down another 3 or 4 inches, he swings over the top of it. Running hard the whole way. Did you see Johnny Cueto backing up that play by chance? That was pretty good. He was right where he needed to be. Check him out. He's a good athlete. Likes to field his position.
Outside to Matt Wieters.
From the stretch, that eliminates a lot of the rocket chair stuff.
Davis had to make sure that was going to drop. He did not look like he didn't check the outfielders before that pitch was thrown, because it looked like from up here that ball was going to drop on contact, but he waited a long time and he's only able to advance to third base.
That was a terrible read by Davis. The Orioles should be up 1-0 here. Okay, that's a jam shot. There was no one even near that, and he just watched it fall and didn't score on. He should have been breaking on contact. Thank you. Cueto relies on that two-seam fastball, the downward break on his curve and his changeup. And if he's not that overpowering where he can't make mistakes in the middle of the plate, he's going to have to stay down. They'll hit it. See how that ball moved in on his hands? It started out over the middle. The hitter thought it looked good, but he's got to get that kind of life on his pitches.
And I would think that pitch would even be more effective to somebody like Pierce, who has that extreme closed stance. I mean, he's going to have a tough time firing those hips with the way his feet are lined up.
Again, that's
about all he can do right there. Just kind of roll it over, right?
Has to stay in there on him.
I don't see many players. When you played, there were a lot more players who had extreme closed stances, but now it seems like, if anything, everyone has a little bit of an open stance.
Yeah, when you tell me that, the player that popped in my mind was Jack Clark.
Dan Ford.
Yep. That's going back a little before my time, but closed off. And that really tells them they want to keep their shoulder in. Yeah, good spot. He's pounding him in.
And then a fastball away, so he really had him set up well. Cueto strikes out his second, and that was a ground ball from getting out of it. Our Toyota League leaders for tonight reminds us, since 2012, two of the best pitchers in the game, opponent's batting average, are starting tonight. Wei-Yin Chen third, Johnny Cueto sixth, lowest opponent's batting average since 2012. Outside to Jimmy Paredes, the one-time Royal.
So if you look at those numbers, that could tell you it could be a low-scoring game. However, we just never know. But you got a couple of aces out there. Has that chance now. Cueto, with his ball, when it's moving like it is, he's induced 12 ground ball double plays. It's easy to see why that two-seamer and that curve and those pitches that move down, hitters hit the top of.
First game for Paredes in this series. Back with a changeup. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Paredes, he's got nice numbers there with runners in scoring position, and he is 2 for 3 in his career off of Cueto.
And had him triggering again. A late appeal, no swing. John Tumpane is the umpire at third. Paredes played in 9 games for the Royals last year. He spent 65 games at Omaha, and then his contract was purchased by the Orioles, and he ended up playing 18 games last year with them. Now a fastball, and that's right where Sal wanted it. He nods his head at Cueto. They tried to get Paredes to chase one up. Looks like he wants to go back to the changeup. Popped up. Perez going to have to watch his feet, and he makes a play.
See that high fastball he threw him was a setup pitch. Salvador Perez, he knows how to call a game because, you know, it's hard for him to hit that pitch as well. So he says goes fastball, and he stayed down with looked like a changeup. And you were saying heads up. Yeah, I've seen catchers go down when they get on that bat. Some of those obstacles that are in that on-deck circle.
Can roll an ankle stepping on that weighted bat or that donut. So first and third, nobody out, has become first and third and 2 out. Jonathan Scope comes to the plate. And he chased a fastball up, 0-1.
Well, you get an opportunity to score, Ryan, off of Johnny Cueto on that base hit that Wieters laid out there, and Chris Davis with a terrible read. That could come back and haunt him.
And on the fist, and it's 0-2. Big crowd tonight, and they were lined up on I-70 with about 5 minutes before the first pitch. So they're still filing in and finding their seats. 1-2. $29,700 here last night. Just under 28,000 for game 1. Bigger crowd tonight. 2-2. I'm going to talk it over. Sal went through every sign he had for Cueto, who just kept shaking him off.
When in doubt, talk it out.
Cueto faces the Orioles for the first time tonight, so now he's faced 29 major league teams, with his original team, the Reds, the only team he hasn't faced. Really done a good job to right-hand hitters of getting the ball in on their knuckles.
And the reason they're swinging at it because the release point sees it
coming down the middle, and then with that extra life going in, they're topping it and missing it.
Off of his foot. Still 2-2.
Scope, a .316 hitter with runners in scoring position.
Still having a tough time getting on the same page. So Sal trying to think along with him. Fastball in, no. Jammed him. Still 2-2.
Cueto's slowed his tempo down a little bit because he really wants to focus here. He knows this is a big part of the game for him. He wants to execute the right pitch here and get out of this inning himself like he's already been doing.
He wants a fastball away after shaking off a few. It is away, and Jonathan Scope and the Orioles go away. First and third, nobody out, and Cueto hangs a 0 on the scoreboard.
Just another reason why he's an ace. He can execute his pitches, and he does throw cheese, man.
Second tier.
There was the cookie. He waited on it. 92, top of the strike zone. Oh, he says thank you.
Not often a ball lands up there in right field, and Kendrys Morales, he hadn't hit a home run in a while. Blasted his 14th last night. He has driven in 86, and he leads off the bottom of the second inning and takes strike one. Those 86 runs driven in are 4th in the American League. Curveball got away from Chen. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Morales, a .283 hitter from the right side of the plate. 3 homers, 9 doubles.
Yes, Joe West says that's a swing. 1-2.
So far, it looks like that nice little slider that Way-In's using. That's going to be his go-to pitch when he needs it out.
A reminder as you enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Chen with that slider struck out Escobar and Zobrist. in the first inning, and I think he had Kendrys thinking another slider was coming, and he buzzed him with a high fastball. Hit well. Right center field. Jones won't get there. So we'll see what the Royals do with a leadoff double. That's how the Orioles started the top of the second inning and failed to score.
Well, Morales, he really does feast on mistakes. Now, a lot of hitters, they really do. They try to anyway, but Morales just doesn't seem to miss those that are cookies right out in the middle. He turned on one yesterday for that home run, and this one here, great inside out swing, and that ball was hit so hard. Jones good on contact, great breakaway, but there's no chance. That ball was tattered and battered.
Mike Moustakas with a runner at second, nobody out, and he's going to bunt, and it's just foul, almost hit the bag.
Great idea. And now as he's walking back, he goes, okay, you know what, now my job is to pull that ball to the right side. We got to get Morales over here. We got to get a run off Chin. Chin's, you know, he's their most consistent pitcher, and I'll tell you, they say it's a game of inches for a reason.
I'll tell you what, if that ball hits the bag, Morales goes to third, Moustakas might go to second. I mean, because if it just barely hit the bag, that thing just kept rolling. That's a tough decision for Machado to either grab it or let it roll. And Moustakas is going to do it again. Chen will throw him out. Morales goes to third with one away.
So Moose taking a page out of the days when he hit in the second hole this year. Just doing the little things there. Would you have rather seen him swing?
Well, you know, the percentages say that the sacrifice bunt isn't as effective as maybe the by the book thinkers would believe. But as we learned from Ned Yost after last year, a lot of the bunts that the Royals put down were not his call. That was the hitter thinking, what am I most comfortable doing here, helping the team score a run. Salvador Perez off the fence. He just missed a home run. He will go to second base. Morales scores, and the Royals lead 1-0.
Steve Pearce on the ball that was hit halfway up the wall in left field. He picked it up and dropped it. I think Salvi was comfortable with a single there. He didn't really get this, a little bit off the end of the bat. He was out in front of it a little bit, but the reason he was able to get into second base looked like Pearce dropped the ball and Salvi just kept going into second base.
And then he kicked it.
Hey, now watch him. See, Salvi's okay with a single. Then he goes, all right, I'll take two if you're going to boot it around out there.
Well, as of right now, it's a double. Paulo Orlando loses a hit on a diving play by Davis, but he beat it out. So he lost an RBI, not a hit. Going hard up the line. He is safe. Perez goes to third, one down.
That's exactly what we were talking about before the game. Paulo Orlando plays like there's no tomorrow. Look at that. You can't tell him that he's not going to beat that out. Determination, got his foot there before Chin did. Excellent hustle. He earned that. Not only did he get Salvi over, got himself a knock. You see how he finished that? Young players out there, watch the head lean. Look at his head. His head is going to lean right over the bag there, and that's what you want. You want to make it appear like you're a track runner at the tape. And sometimes you get the nod on the base hit. However, he beat him by just a half a step. But great form.
First and third to Omar Infante. Little tap. Run scores. 2-0 Royals.
I think the Royals are, excuse me, the Orioles are having flashbacks of last postseason. They're saying, here they go again. They get infield hits. They run, they beat balls out at first. They got a few guys that can drive them in, but look at this. There's not even 2 outs, and they're putting a nice rally together. Salvi, great read there. Machado, he laid back. Can't believe he didn't come and get this the whole way.
Yeah, because even if Chen gets through it, that's a tough play for a left-hand thrower.
That's Machado's play all the way. So the fact that Chris Davis didn't score from second base in that last inning, and the fact that Machado didn't make that play, gives the Royals another opportunity here, and the Royals are taking advantage of it.
And that is just foul. It was the discussion we had with Joel and Monty after the game last night. In my opinion, just trying to string together a lot of things that the Royals do well. And what is that common thread? They have great focus. Now, Ned Yost will say that focus comes from energy. They're a high energy team. And the Royals may lose, 15-2 and fall to pieces tonight. Who knows? But the difference in the game right now is a difference in focus.
Totally agree with that.
Right?
I totally agree.
The misread on the base hit, as you mentioned, by Davis, and the passive approach to the ground ball hit by Infante.
The drop in left field to allow Salvi to go to second base by Pierce. Now, it wasn't an error. I thought it should have been.
That's well hit. The wind is blowing out that way, and Jones makes the play.
Yeah.
Omar Infante
he's
crossed
out.
Paulo Orlando. Infante rounded second base, and Paulo Orlando went back to tag. So Infante, in passing Paulo Orlando, is out, and that ends the inning. Well, they don't have perfect focus.
No, I guess not. But Hirschback was right on the call. He called him out.
Great weather so far for this homestand as the sun sets in Kansas City. Our University of Kansas hospital injury report. The Royals will go to Tampa Bay after the game tomorrow. Curt Casale, the Rays catcher, goes on the disabled list with a hamstring injury. The Rays and the Orioles have the exact same record. So both teams 8 games out in the division and 2.5 back in the wild card. And now the Rays are without one of their catchers. The Orioles started the series without their shortstop, J.J. Hardy, out with a groin injury. So Ryan Flaherty, who bats now, he and Paul Janisch have been filling in. Former teammates here, or former teammates, Cueto and Janisch, who is not at shortstop tonight. And Ryan Flaherty fouls it away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He is in a deep slump at the moment. If you're wondering, and I was, to be honest, how you score that double play to end the bottom of the 2nd inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes, with Infante passing Paulo Orlando at second base. It is an 8 unassisted double play. And that's into center field. So Flaherty still trying to dig himself out of a slump. Even with that hit, he only has 3 hits in his last 39 at bats. And for the 2nd straight inning, the Orioles have their leadoff man on.
Johnny Cueto with the hip turn, hides the ball extremely well, staying on top, wants that shoulder, see, to line up directly to home plate. And talking with Flaherty before the game today, I was asking him why he hit the ball in the air so much, and he says, I don't know. If I knew, I wouldn't do it.
Zobrist is back. He is at the wall, and Manny Machado, who has been very, very quiet in this series, hits a 2-run home run, and that ties the game. Home run number 26 for Manny Machado.
Cueto's 3rd home run to a right-handed batter while in a Royals uniform. Ball's up. You get his arms extended, and he doesn't have to square it. Just exactly right. He kind of caught that towards the end, but had enough elevation on it to get it over the wall at 387.
And now Gerardo Parra. He lined out to center field in the 1st inning. Cueto got out of 1st and 3rd and nobody out in the 2nd inning. And now a single and a home run allowed in the 3rd.
Quick pitch got up on Park. He couldn't figure it out. He check swinged it. He's got 24 plate appearances against him. He's seen that before. But he looked fooled by the quick pitch.
Still 0-2. Change up down, Salvador Perez says, and it's grounded to first. Hosmer to Cueto. Boy, Cueto, does he get to the bag quickly or what? I mean, that ball was just barely in Hosmer's glove, and Cueto was standing at the bag waiting.
Well, he executed the pitch, but Salvi wanted it even further down. You see him getting over there with no problem. Cueto's made the starting rotation better, and he's also given some other ideas to the other starters as far as conditioning goes. We watch him go up and down the stairs with his isometric running and his conditioning program. This guy's, he's fit.
Calling all Yogis. The Royals will be hosting the first ever Yogis in the outfield next Sunday, September 6th, prior to the game against the White Sox. Join yoga instructor Sue Park for an early morning 1-hour yoga session on the outfield stadium, or the outfield grass, followed by a light breakfast. I'll give you the English version of this promo as soon as I can get it out of my mouth. And you'll also spend some time in the Hall of Fame Pavilion. Special ticket packages are available at Royals.com/special events. Fizz was the first one to sign up, I think.
Yep. He'll be out there with Nama Stacy, his beautiful wife.
Two down, and now Chris Davis. Fastball rides outside. Davis led off the second inning with a double. He had been hitless in his previous 16 at-bats, and then did not get a good read on the base hit by Wieters, which cost the Orioles a run. 1-1. Great seat right behind home plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Two and 2 on Davis.
Johnny and Salvi having a hard time tonight getting on the same page.
A 5.
Whatever it was, it worked.
What's a 5? Machado's home run ties the game. Name Van Kemsky. Van Kempt, a lifelong resident of the metro area. Evelyn has always been interested in making the world a better place, volunteering in many ways. To date, the 87-year-old feels her most important accomplishment is founding the Community Center of Shawnee back in 1982. Through her 33 years as president and CEO, she has worked tirelessly to expand the organization and provide more free items to those in the Shawnee area that need them. Sitting in the Buck O'Neil legacy seat at tonight's game.
Thank you, Evelyn. If more people had your attitude to serve others, this would be a heck of a place. And it already is a nice place.
Ben Zobrist, who has quite a few at-bats against Chen from his days with Tampa Bay in the same division as the Orioles, struck out in the first inning, and he's done quite well, hitting .371 with a home run. Down and in, 3 balls, no strikes.
You know, Wei In Chen, sometimes he'll lull hitters to sleep with that very smooth wind-up and delivery. He's not over-aggressive with it, but he's smooth, and the ball explodes out of his hand. And he missed there, and he was wondering where that was.
So, as the Royals do so often, Whether they score or not, they normally put something together right after the opponent scores, and they have the leadoff man on for Kane, Hosmer, and Morales. Ben Zobrist now at Kauffman Stadium has walked 14 times as a Royal, and he has struck out once.
Lorenzo Cain got a nice base hit his first time up to right field. He's hitting .347 coming into this game against lefties, and that's 7th best in the AL.
Wieters keeps Zobrist at first base with a nice stop.
Likes to come inside with the fastball to tie righties up, but you know, you might look in there because right-handed batters have hit 21 home runs off a chin. There it is. Lorenzo a little bit too quick on that one. Only 3 home runs to left-handed batters given up by Chin.
Back to Chen. He throws a strike to Scope, who turns the double play. Two down, and now Eric Hosmer comes up with the bases empty. And we remind you to vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com, and you'll be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House. Hosmer grounded out to Jonathan Scope in the first inning.
.279 hitter against southpaws. That's a good mark.
Two balls, one strike.
Defense on the infield, playing him to a slight pull. Outfielders slightly to the opposite field.
Now 3-1 to Hosmer. And now with Hosmer ahead in the count, look at the shift in the middle of the at bat.
How about that?
Complete change of plans. And Hosmer pulls it just like the Orioles thought he would. Chen to the bag. So he works around the leadoff walk. And at the end of 3, we are tied at 2 at Kauffman Stadium.
ability to field his position, which backs up what I heard from some of his Cincinnati teammates. Skip Schumacher saying to me last week, he is sneaky quick and very, very athletic. Those guys, of course, know him very, very well. So we saw the athleticism here, and a very driven guy. Brian Pena, the former Royal, and who caught him, said this is a guy that wants to help his teammates any single way. He'll even try to help with hitting, although he said he's not the best when it comes to hitting. And energy, emotion, and enthusiasm, the 3 E's, is what Todd Frazier said he has. Edinson Volquez was a teammate with him in Cincinnati, said this guy will bounce back from bad starts. He is very confident and very good with adjustments.
Thank you, Joel. And it was very informative when we were in Cincinnati to talk to the Reds announcers, and Joel mentioned talking to Brian Pena, what they had to say about Johnny Cueto now that he's with the Royals. And I remember Chris Welsh, who's the television analyst, came over to the booth and he shared with us how that a bad start for Johnny Cueto, and of course he's being a little sarcastic, but not really, a bad start for Johnny Cueto is 6 innings and 3 runs. He did a little worse than that in Boston, but that was the amount of respect that they had for him. And as we bring in Jeff Montgomery, then you consider where he pitched in that ballpark, and his numbers are even more impressive.
Yeah, that says a lot for a guy that's able to kind of stick with his game plan in a ballpark like Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, because balls, we know, flies out of there. We saw that, a lot of that during the All-Star Home Run Derby, how far the guys are hitting balls. So he's hasn't pitched in his entire career other than this last 3 weeks in that ballpark.
Well, he had Wieters thinking about something other than the fastball.
Salvi presents a beautiful target, though. You see how that ball caught the outside part of the plate. Salvador Perez, he has the knack to make it look even better.
Monty, I'm curious. Hud and I were talking when Steve Pearce came to the plate. There are very few hitters in the game these days that have an exaggerated closed stance like he does. Did you, I mean, I know you had scouting reports, and Pearce tops one into left field for a 1-out hit. Did a hitter's stance ever tell you something about him and how you wanted to pitch him?
Not necessarily. I think it did the catcher. Catchers will always take a glance down at the feet of the hitter to kind of get a feel for where he is. I would always try to watch as much as I could when that hitter was on the on-deck circle or coming up the plate with his practice swings, because if you're taking his practice swings, that's pretty much where you want the ball to be. I mean, that's your swing, and I tried to stay away from that area and that zone as much as possible.
Well, obviously Pearce, he knew they were coming inside on him after that first at bat, and so he was ready for that. Jam shot, kept his bat intact, didn't break it, but he was able to fight it off and therefore a base hit. We've seen him, Cueto, jam a few guys.
Yeah, and like with Pearce, the Royals last night pitched him in all night long too, and I think the approach is prove that you can beat me, otherwise I'm going to keep pounding you in there.
That was going to be my question. So you don't assume that he's going to cheat the next time he comes up based on what you did the first time you faced him?
Well, he likely has to cheat to beat a good fastball in the inside part of the plate, and that's why guys, you'll get that reputation of having inability to hit that pitch, and that's why the pitchers really try to exploit that. They try to just go there consistently until there's an adjustment made, and that hitter proves now that he can beat you there.
Johnny using nice two-seam fastballs on Paredes.
Interesting. He and Salvi tonight have had more trouble than any other start, and sometimes, catcher might miss with the first sign, but he gets him with the second sign and the third sign. But there's been a few occasions where you can tell Salvi's just putting everything down there trying to find the right pitch.
And it's more noticeable on a pitcher like Cueto, who has 6 different pitches that he can go to in any situation. So if it's a guy's maybe a 2 or 3 pitch guy, then likelihood you're going to get it right more frequently. But with a 6 pitch combination, a little more difficult.
Great changeup. 6 strikeouts in 3 2/3 innings, and that's out number 2.
Yeah, he does really finish that changeup nicely. Stays behind the ball. Because of him staying behind the ball as long as he can, that ball gets that downward that downward action. It's exactly where you want the changeup to finish, out of the strike zone below it.
If you had to guess, Monty, what was the 5? It's not often a catcher puts all 5 fingers out there requesting a pitch.
Could have been a cutter.
Okay.
Could have been curveball. You just never know. Everyone's got their own sequence of numbers they put down.
Well, last time he threw it, he threw it inside and went straight down.
Because generally speaking, 1 fastball, 2 curveball, 3 slider, and then the wiggling of the 4 fingers is a change. Right?
Yes.
So, but it's not very often, and Sally's got big hands, and when he presents a 5, I mean, you can see it from I-70. Ball's hit hard, but pulled foul back into the crowd. Is that real?
Looks a lot like Johnny Cueto sitting out watching himself pitch.
And that ball's hit very deep to left field. Wow. Oh my. Jonathan Scope hits the side of the Royals Hall of Fame in left field. And the Orioles have hit 2 home runs off of Cueto to take a 4-2 lead. That's one of the longest home runs hit there since the remodel.
Oh, it was down and in his nitro zone, and he squared it up. That 2-seamer was off the plate, but he pulled his hands in, stayed underneath it, and looks to me like he cleared the Hall of Fame. No? Those people scrambling for that ball down there? It was hit, though. Wow.
Standing against that railing, I'm assuming that fans are not thinking I better bring my glove or I better be alive for a ball coming my way. 427 feet. Is that the guy we were just showing you with the Cueto hair?
I think so.
It looked to me like the ball disappeared out there. I thought it went over the Hall of Fame, but that's a long way to get it over that Hall of Fame. That section there, where Jackie Robinson's retired 42. But the only question was, is going to stay fair.
You had him with you when I saw the ball leave the bat. The first thing I did was look down at Scope to see if he was leaving the batter's box or going to stand and watch it, and unfortunately he was going first base.
The hitters will tell you, won't they?
And now Flaherty, who's a struggling hitter, has a single and a walk tonight against Cueto.
Here comes a little pep talk from Dave. Telling him to let it go.
Don't miss the final T-shirt Tuesday of the season. That's coming up next week with the Tigers in town. The first 10,000 fans through the gates receive a special T-shirt commemorating the Royals Franchise 4 winners, courtesy of Washburn University and School of Law. For tickets, go to Royals.com/T-shirt Tuesday or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. Now Manny Machado, he hit the first 2-run home run for the Orioles. That was last inning, driving in Flaherty, and now he bats with Flaherty on base again. One ball, one strike.
It'll be interesting to hear Johnny Cueto talk about that pitch that he gave, that home run there to Scope. Just like in game 1, Adam Jones took that curveball on the inner half of the plate and down. Took Medlin deep. Medlin after the game says, nah, that was a bad pitch.
Usually when they hit one that far, it is a bad pitch. I mean, a lot of times you'll hear a pitcher say, I threw the pitch I wanted, but it wasn't the right pitch, because a guy don't hit a ball 428 feet if it's a good pitch.
There you go.
Hosmer and foul ground in front of his own dugout, and that is the inning. The 25th start for Johnny Cueto, and just the 4th time he's given up more than 1 home run. Bread, avoid the lines. Order online with rapid pickup at delivery.panerabread.com. By Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Dodge, find your summer of adventure with great deals at the Dodge Summer Clearance Event. Is that another playoff, maybe? She's had it. And as a result, they will probably enjoy the game a little more tonight.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if the Royals can answer the Orioles. Kendrys Morales, the 2nd time he leads off an inning. And in the 2nd inning, he led off with a double and scored one of the Royals 2 runs. The Royals had a 2-0 lead going into the 3rd, and the Orioles have had back-to-back 2-run innings. Morales, Moustakas, and Perez.
Wei-Yin Chin, Monty, I was talking about his fluid delivery. Sometimes he'll lull the hitter to sleep. And there's the slow curve.
Yeah, he's textbook with his mechanics. Gets in a great position, has that balance, and he's very quick. Got that nice, smooth delivery. Very good finish on the breaking ball.
He loves this slow curve, and then his slider has been a very effective pitch against righties. And also, what's making those pitches look even better is his fastball in. He's been busting hitters, righties, inside.
Well, he pitches like a crafty lefty, but he's got good stuff. He's got, you know, that better than average fastball.
Better believe it. We're seeing some 94s and 5s out of his arm.
I like how he throws that glove out in front, almost like a little bit of a deflector.
Into center field, Mike Moustakas extends his hitting streak to 7 games. If you're a Royals fan and looking to attend the Kansas City Irish Fest, get your tickets today for Irish Heritage Night here at Kauffman Stadium. That's next Wednesday, starting at just $22. This special ticket package gets you both a game ticket to watch the Royals and the Tigers and a single-day admission to the Kansas City Irish Fest the following weekend. Royals.com/special events for those tickets. Chop to third. Out at second. Double play. Second double play in the last 2 innings for Wei Yin Chen. And at the end of 4, Baltimore leads 4-2. Philadelphia last night. Jeff Francoeur upset. The Phillies upset as they felt that they were illegally quick pitched, and Larry Boa just goes nuts on the umpiring crew. Bob McClure, former Royals pitching coach, also in there, and Larry Boa also yelling at the New York Mets. And with the Royals playing the Baltimore Orioles, it might remind you of some classic Earl Weaver moments. That, we think, is Steve Palermo. So that was a different time when manager and umpire could make contact with one another. Earl Weaver known for getting thrown out of games and throwing umpires out of games, although I never remember the umpires ever being ejected and leaving the field. But there you go. Toss him out, Earl. The late Earl Weaver. I think, and I apologize if I'm wrong, I can look it up very quickly, but when Earl Weaver passed away, I believe it was on the same day that Stan Musial passed away. And you talk about 2 completely different personalities.
Yeah, and I had a couple of cups of coffee with the Orioles. And remember Old Memorial Stadium, Monty?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you had to wind around through a tunnel till you got to the clubhouse. And he didn't like rookies or young players up in the clubhouse during the game. He thought they should all be out on the bench, learning the game. And I happened to be up in there one time, and just me and Jimmy Tyler, their longtime clubhouse attendant. He'd been there for years. And something happened in the game, and you could hear Earl cussing up a storm coming up that tunnel. And so Tyler, who'd been there for years, took off running, and I'm standing there going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? If he sees me up here, I'm in big trouble. I jumped in a locker, pulled all the clothes over me, and I hid from Earl Weaver as he came in the locker room and threw stuff all over the locker room. And he left, and I came out of there like a rabbit in hiding. And I went, whew. I went back in the dugout, and I never was in that clubhouse again.
Little hide and seek.
Oh, he scared the death out of me. He was a guy that wasn't afraid to tell you what he thought, even players.
That's one of the things really think the instant replay and the review system is taken away from the game. Is you don't see many managers getting thrown out of games because now plays just get challenged and there's really no way to argue it.
Parra runs, Jones strikes out, and Infante makes an excellent play to keep that ball in the infield. So Parra goes to second. Jones is 0 for 3 with his second strikeout tonight. And there is one down. That is the 7th strikeout for Cueto.
10th stolen base for Parra. Orioles don't run much.
The Orioles have a pair of 2-run home runs. Manny Machado in the 3rd inning that tied the game at 2. And then Jonathan Schoop with a long home run to the Royals Hall of Fame in the 4th. And now Chris Davis, who has more home runs than any Oriole with 34, has doubled and struck out tonight against Cueto.
Cueto, as a result of having to pitch in some situations with runners in scoring position tonight, has had to go for strikeouts, has 7 on the evening. As a result, pitch count up there at 84 already.
Two balls and 1 strike. Two and 2. I've heard pitchers say that if a hitter is a low ball hitter, it doesn't mean you can pitch him down. You just have to pitch him lower than low.
Under the bat. Exactly what we see here against Davis.
You know, watching Salvi with those balls in the dirt, he's one of the best I've seen in a long time. He wants that high target here. But when that ball bounces, he doesn't catch it on purpose. See that? He puts it on the ground. He doesn't close his glove. He doesn't want to catch it. He wants to keep it right in front of him. So if he feathers it, he feels it. He's got a great feel for his glove. And watch it. He could catch this if he wanted to and close the fingers. But look, he drops it on purpose.
Does he think the Orioles are stealing his signs? Because he gave a high target there for a breaking ball that he wanted down.
He was decoying to try to get him to maybe think he's going to go something upstairs.
And that ball is hit well to left field, and the Baltimore Orioles have hit 3 2-run home runs. That's the first time this season that Cueto has allowed 3 home runs in a game. And Baltimore leads 6-2 in the 5th inning.
Well, we've been talking about that beautiful swing he's got, that home run swing on balls down. And this one was evident, and to all parks of the park. And he hit it. I knew it had a chance to go out. See, it's a breaking ball. And look at that. Look how he stays down, stays through the ball. Nice pass, takes his hand off the bat. Okay, that's a Charlie Lyle theory. He just lets the bat head do the work, takes his hand off. Beautiful follow through. That was a nice homer.
And that pitch was just a little above the knee, so it wasn't necessarily a pitch that a lot of guys are going to do damage with. But Davis, being a good low ball hitter, he can do that.
If you're wondering the last time Johnny Cueto gave up 3 home runs in a game, how about 5 years ago? Kane waits for it in center field. Wieters is out, 2 down.
Guys, this is a little uncharacteristic for this Baltimore Orioles team. hitting the home runs and scoring as many runs on the road. Normally they're this type of team in Baltimore. The run differential is enormous. If you look at that 56 plus at home and on the road -8. So tonight they're really kind of playing home baseball.
And off of Cueto, no one expected that.
No.
Back-to-back starts, having trouble.
Remember Cueto on Friday, as Jeremy Guthrie gets ready to pitch out of the bullpen for the first time this year. On Friday, Cueto gave up a career-high 13 hits to the Red Sox, and now a new first for him. It's the first time in his career that he's given up 6 or more runs in back-to-back starts. And still, he and Sal are not seeing the pitch sequences the same.
And I didn't think Cueto was in, wasn't in sync, wasn't in rhythm in Baltimore. Didn't know what it was, didn't have any idea, but he was up in the strike zone so much in that start. Tonight, it's not that he's been up as much, it's just he's not been consistently hitting the glove where Salvador wants it. I'm sorry, he was in Boston in his last start.
And there you go again. That's a foul ball, but that pitch was supposed to be away.
Right.
And it was middle in.
Very frustrating when you're unable to kind of dial it in the way that he's accustomed to having it.
Change up is pounded foul, still 3-2. The Orioles have scored more runs in the first 5 innings tonight than they did in games 1 and 2 combined. They have lost 6 straight and not producing much offense. Pierce can't believe he missed that pitch. But the Orioles have missed very few tonight. They've hit 3 home runs and they lead 6-2. Bottom of the 5th inning. Coming up next Sunday, we celebrate Mike Sweeney and his iconic career with a limited edition Royals Hall of Fame bobblehead sponsored by Commerce Bank. That's available to the first 10,000 fans. Michael, the 26th inductee into the Royals Hall of Fame. Gates will open at 11:30 for the 1:10 game. And again, that's Sunday, September 6th for the Royals and the White Sox. Royals scored 2 runs in the second inning. Paulo Orlando reached with a base hit in that inning. And now the Orioles have scored 2 runs in 3 straight innings, all on home runs. And Wei-Yin Chen, unlike Johnny Cueto, has been extremely efficient with his pitches tonight.
Yeah, it really has. Tremendous efficiency.
He's their most consistent pitcher, has been all year. Ooh. Perfectly executed slider down. And you know, if you look at his splits, you can get him, but you better not miss that mistake. Righties 21 big flies. Lefties 3. So might be a way for the Royals to get back in this, but he's got to be able to make the mistake and throw the mistake pitch, the home run ball. That's not one right there. That's a pitcher's pitch. Ooh, and a slow curve. Get me over. You throw it once, Monty, why not throw it again to start the field pitch?
I'd like to throw it first pitch, throw some fastballs and use the curveball to finish off it. Use it to finish out of the strike zone.
This pulled just foul. The Royals have just missed hitting fair balls up the third base line on several occasions tonight. We've got a little fire in the outfield experience, or at least, yeah, the grill that was on fire, so you can see some of the smoke in front of the center field camera. Flaherty throws out Infante. Omar is 1 for 2 and now 2 down in the 5th inning. Johnny Cueto is going to be getting out there very quickly again, although Guthrie continues to throw in the bullpen. So Cueto at 97 pitches in 5 innings. That might be it.
I would believe that's probably it tonight.
Escobar struck out in the 1st inning, and then he flied into an 8 unassisted double play in the 2nd inning. And no, Adam Jones did not catch the ball and then tag out a runner. Jones made the play near the warning track in center field, and on the same play, Omar Infante passed Paulo Orlando on the base path right around second base. So in doing so, Infante was out, and the scoring goes down as 8 unassisted double play. I'm assuming that is the only 8 unassisted double play of Adam Jones' career.
Yeah, and you know, we don't see that very often either, that play.
Ball was hit very deep. Orlando was thinking about going first to third, or rather Infante was thinking about going first to third. He was at first. Orlando was at second. He was going back to tag, and he crossed paths with Infante. Now shallow center field. Jones hesitated to read it and comes up to make the catch. Wei-Yin Chen with good run support has a 4-run lead at the end of 5. by Thoroughbred Ford. For the best deals on new Ford cars and trucks, visit thoroughbredford.com. Short night for Johnny Cueto. He gives up 3 home runs and 6 runs in 5 innings. So Jeremy Guthrie comes out of the bullpen for the first time since 2012 at the end of his Colorado Rockies career, and then shortly after that was traded to the Royals, and his career took a turn for the better. So it's his first relief appearance as a Royal. And he'll face Jimmy Paredes. Takes down and away ball 1.
Fastball, slider, curveball, changeup. He's got the 4 basics. He'll cut the fastball. Good pitch. Better swing.
Leadoff man out for the 4th time for the Orioles, and now Jonathan Schoop. And my goodness, back in the 4th inning, Schoop with this blast, our Chrysler drive of the game.
And he leaned back on that baby, or what?
It was with the Baltimore Orioles where Jeremy Guthrie established himself as a bona fide big league starter. And now Schoop out into left center field has his 2nd hit. Paredes will go to 3rd, and the Orioles have runners at the corners with nobody out.
Two off-speed pitches that were executed down in the zone, and the Birds are pulling out their hits, their bats. That ball's well below the strike zone. That's where he wanted to put it, but nice piece of hitting. Back-to-back hitters.
Perez was getting ready to throw down to 3rd and try and pick out Paredes, but Flaherty fouls it away. 1st and 3rd, nobody out. That's what the Orioles had back in the 2nd inning, and Johnny Cueto got out of it, and it looked like Cueto was going to have a big night after that 2nd inning. The Royals got 2 runs in the next half inning, and now a bullet to Hosmer. I don't know if he saw it or not, but it went into his glove. That was an absolute blur off the bat of Ryan Flaherty.
Well, we always talk about the 3rd baseman being the guy that's the reactor in the reacting position, but Hosmer, he's playing in up the holding the runner there, and whoo, talk about soft hands. He just laid his glove out there and feathered it and was able to land in there. Nice play. He makes plays look so easy, and yet they are very difficult.
Machado hit it down around the end of the bat, and Zobrist is there. So it was noisy, but Guthrie pitches a scoreless 6th inning. I think Kansas City has the second most fountains of any city in the world. Isn't it Paris that has the most fountains? No, it's Rome. Well, anyway,
Somewhere you're
welcome. Hope you'll spend your Labor Day here at Kauffman Stadium as we honor the military with the Royals Armed Forces Night presented by Budweiser. That's September 7th. Arrive early for a pregame ceremony as we honor our servicemen and women prior to the game against the Minnesota Twins. Get your tickets at Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. Glenn Zobrist hits it hard, and Parra has to go into a dive to prevent an extra base hit. Leadoff man on for the Royals in the bottom of the sixth. Zobrist's first hit.
What a great play by Parra. I thought for sure when he dove and that ball bounced, that ball was going to get by him, a possible inside the Parker. But you know, the gold glove that he wears, he knows how to do it. When he leaves his feet, he's going to time it and catch it on the hop. And oh, he's lucky. That ball just didn't get off the end of his glove, but that's a nice play.
little gamble you can take when you have a 4-run cushion.
That's right.
Strike two, Lorenzo Cain. Our sonic slam inning contestant is Carolyn Berry from Kansas City, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Carolyn wins $200. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Carolyn wins $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals. A shot into center field. The Royals have two good swings against Chen in the sixth inning. Cain has his second hit. And the Royals have two on, nobody out.
Man, this was what Dizzy Dean used to call a blue darter. That ball was on the line, Monty, and by the time Chin got his hand up, that ball was already crossing second base.
That was a rocket.
Oh, man. You can't square it up any better. I'm glad it didn't hit way in Chin.
Well, it was right by his glove, and it still wasn't able to react in time to be able to get any part of level on that ball.
Hosmer got a pitch up and fouls it away.
So you want to know the hit speed off of that base hit by Cain? 107 miles an hour back at you. Check it out real time. Watch this. Ooh, man. That is a perfect swing, Monty.
That's scary as a pitcher.
Oh.
1-1 to Hosmer. He is grounded out twice against Chen, both times to the right side. Broken bat, caught by Flaherty. No double play. That is a huge play by Flaherty. Royals were just a couple of inches away from having the bases loaded and nobody out.
And had Zobrist not reacted, they would have had a double play. Nice job by Zobrist. He froze and got back just in the nick of time.
Strike to Kendrys Morales. Not thrilled about that call. He doubled leading off the second inning. Scored one of the Royals 2 runs in that inning to give Johnny Cueto a 2-0 lead. And now we've watched the Orioles since then hit 3 home runs and score 6. And now it's 0-2. That's the pitch that Chen has used well against right-hand batters. That slider down and in. Morales lays off of it. Our most trusted player, brought to you by the most trusted brand, Honda. This is Morales back in the second.
And that 34th double was well struck. Stayed inside the ball. Like to see that right here. I don't think. Oh,
Curveball stayed up. And that's to the gap. Here comes Zobrist around third. It is a 6-3 game as Kendrys Morales drives in his 87th of the year.
okay, let's check it out. This ball's a hanger. Okay, right there, the hitter sees it. Morales sees it, and he's going, oh, that's too good to pass up. That ball is way hanging. I'm just going to slap it to right field.
And I'm sure Chen knew as soon as that ball left his hand, that ball's going to be up. And there's a good chance that Kendrys Morales is going to drive in another run.
Well, that hitter's eyes light up when they see it up there. Especially a hitter of his caliber.
A lot of times these are the innings that you'll get pitchers when they have a nice comfortable lead. They've got that 5 innings under the belt that qualify for the win. Maybe a little bit of a letdown, I'm sure. But that's one of the things they're going to discuss out on the mound, trying to get back on the focus and shut this inning down. But right now Mike Moustakas has a chance to really do some damage.
And he's done a lot of damage lately. His single in the 4th inning gives him a 7-game hitting streak. And a very productive 7-game hitting streak. That includes 3 doubles, 3 home runs, and 8 runs driven in.
He keeps hitting, and Reagan, he's going to get his average back up to 280. He's getting closer to it.
Slider, 1 ball, 1 strike. Now, Moustakas put that bunt down in the 2nd inning. And I'm assuming that did not come from the dugout, but that was a Mike Moustakas call. So you immediately think, well, he's not very comfortable against his pitcher, so he just wants to help the team out. But that's not true. He's 3 for 7 with a double. A little bit out in front of the slider. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And Moose's average with runners in scoring position is climbing up there now because he's starting to utilize left field more with runners on. He's getting those hits. He's hit 247 coming into this one. Look at those great fans there.
And Michael Long.
Oh, too bad. Boy, that's the right approach for Moose. Look at how quiet his body was on that swing. He didn't even move his lower half. He just sat up there and used his hands and went with it. And that's what Dale Swain wants him to do with runners in scoring position. Not try to jack it out of the ballpark. Just lob it out there to left field.
He's had so much success doing that all year.
2 on, 2 out for Salvador Perez. He takes a strike. Salvador just missed his 19th home run in the 2nd inning when he doubled off the chain link fence in left field and drove in a run. And then Chen got him to ground into a double play in the 4th inning. Right center field. Jones has room and brings it down. So I would imagine Wei-Yin Chen feels fortunate that he only gave up 1 run.
And if they're in Camden Yards, it's a tie game.
brought to you by AT&T UVerse high-speed internet. The UVerse revolves around you. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT. By your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. Jeremy Guthrie with his second inning out of the bullpen. Parra fouls it away. Dave Wallace working with Wei-Yin Chen's interpreter to make sure nothing was lost in translation. Wei-Yin Chen from Taiwan. Parra has very good numbers in his career against Johnny Cueto and was 1 for 3 tonight against Cueto, and one of his outs was a line out to center field. And now against Guthrie, he pounds it foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
The way this Royals team has been battling from behind over some of their recent victories, very important for Jeremy Guthrie to put another 0 on the board this inning.
Two and two. Oh, looked like he heard something on that swing. Showalter, as manager, was concerned, and looks like his left hand, but he tells Showalter he's fine, and Showalter might come out anyway with the trainer. If you are on the road and you want to stay close to the Royals, subscribe to MLB.TV Premium for live or on demand on over 400 devices. It includes real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, and more. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. To center field, so sore handed off. Parra still has a good swing. 1 down in the 7th inning. Our AT&T UVerse Rewind takes us back to 1991. Tell us all about it, Monty.
Well, Brett Saberhagen is able to go out and do what a lot of pitchers dream of doing. That's going 9 without giving up a hit, called a no-hitter. He was really on that night. I remember the last couple of innings he pitched, he was throwing harder than I've ever seen him throw in his career. He smelled that finish line. He knew that there was an opportunity to do something special.
I've seen that final out 100 times, and I always, for whatever, I remember the reaction of Brent Mayne. If there was a freeze frame of the embrace, you would think that Brent Mayne just threw the no-hitter. And that Saberhagen was congratulating him, but it means almost as much to the catcher to be a part of a no-hitter.
That's Todd Benzinger. I thought that was him.
The zinger.
1-2 from Guthrie to Jones. We almost had another no-hitter tonight in Detroit. Justin Verlander, who has already thrown 2 no-hitters in the big leagues, took a no-hitter into the 9th inning against the Angels. And he lost that no-hitter. Moustakas throws out Jones as Hosmer stretches into foul territory. A Mazda game break. It was Chris Iannetta in the 9th inning against Justin Verlander. A couple of inches away from being a foul ball. So a one-hitter for Justin Verlander as the Tigers beat the Angels 5-0. Verlander in his career has no-hit Toronto. That was in 2011. And he no-hit Milwaukee in 2007, a team that was managed by Ned Yost. No balls, 2 strikes on Chris Davis.
That 07 Brewers team was a pretty good hitting team too. Now tonight the Angels, that's a team that's really down offensively. They got a lot of thump in that lineup, but they've struggled to score runs.
They're just 2 games over 500 now, the Angels.
They scored in double digits last night, but they had a big lead and Detroit almost caught them.
Could you imagine the buzz in Detroit tonight after all of Justin Verlander's struggles to come that close to a no-hitter? One and 2 from Guthrie to Chris Davis. Two scoreless innings for Guthrie out of the Royals bullpen. Stretch time at Kauffman Stadium. The Royals are down by 3.
Crowd at Kauffman Stadium. Houston 6-2 over New York. LA just shut out. Speaking of crowds, Minnesota and Tampa both in the wild card race, and 9,205 fans in St. Petersburg tonight. Toronto all over Texas. Coming up after the game, Jeff Montgomery will break down Johnny Cueto's second rough start, and we will get you ready for tomorrow's matchup, the series finale, before the Royals themselves head to St. Petersburg. That and much more coming up on Boulevard Royals Live. Guys, one more note for you. I thought this was interesting, that yesterday when the Astros beat the Yankees, it was the 8th straight game that they had allowed less than 3 runs. They were the first American League team to do that since the 1991 Royals. Today, they allowed less than 3 again. First time a team has done that in at least 9 straight in the American League since the 1974 Orioles.
Well, that's the difference for Houston. They're pitching this year, and their bullpen has gone from, in 1 year, the worst in the American League to one of the best.
Yeah, it's amazing too with all those veteran guys, and not really hardly any of them throw hard. They're all finesse type pitchers, and they pitch to that defense. You know how they shift over there in Houston. So it's been very successful for them. They're pitching to contact. They're not blowing guys away. That bullpen, they're good.
At the right field line, Parra, long run, that's down. Throw back to first is thrown away, but Wei-Yin Chen in the right spot. Paulo Orlando has a 2-hit game, and the Royals have the leadoff man on.
It's a little flare shot that worked. Buck Showalter getting some action up in his bullpen now.
Omar Infante drove in a run with an infield single in the second inning. He's 1 for 2. They are working in the Orioles bullpen, and yet Wei-Yin Chen in the 7th inning has thrown 80 pitches.
Yep, his last 3 starts he's thrown over 100 in all 3 of those.
Royals have 10 hits. They have the best winning percentage in the major leagues when they have 10 or more hits. Baltimore also has 10 hits. Chen's play is to first. 1 out, and Orlando goes to second base. And now the Royals begin their 4th time through the order against Chen. Let's take a look at the players to watch, courtesy of DraftKings. Johnny Cueto was on that list and gave up 6 runs, 3 home runs in 5 innings. Yoenis Cespedes been a nice acquisition for the Mets, hasn't he?
Just what they needed.
My goodness.
They needed an offensive player, and they got one.
At the left field line, foul. By no means am I using this as an excuse. Wei-Yin Chen has done a good job with men on base. Now he has given up 10 hits, but there have been at least 5 balls I can think of, either ground balls or line drives, that have been just foul of third base or the left field line tonight.
Buck Showalter, he's got that guy up in the bullpen for a reason. He's not going to be afraid to go to that pen. The Royals get any more runs.
Now Escobar trying to go the other way. No balls, 2 strikes. So Chen on several occasions tonight, if you want to give him credit for that, he's gotten the ball in just enough. The Royals have put pretty good swings on him to make solid contact, but in enough where they can't keep it in fair territory. Brad Brock, who pitched in game 1 of the series, warms up as Chen is about to deliver his 85th pitch. And that was just inside at 93. Did he make contact?
Yeah, staying alive.
Sure didn't look like it. Escobar felt he did, and Joe West said that he did. Your thoughts?
Well, I guess if Joe West says it's a foul ball, it is.
Does that fall under the same rule as it's not a balk if they don't call it a balk?
That's right. You are correct.
Full count. As Escobar comes back after falling behind, Ben Zobrist is on deck.
As aggressive as Wei-Yin Chen has been with that fastball and down and in, he might just try a slow curve or something here to mess up Esky's timing. We'll see.
That ball stays fair. Orlando goes to third as Escobar is thrown out.
Up, he stayed down with it. When you have speed like Paulo Orlando, you can do that. He was 100% convicted he was going to make that play over there, or get into second or third base.
With fewer than 90 pitches, Wei-Yin Chen comes out and Brad Brock comes on to face Ben Zobrist. Strong fan photo of the game. And thank you, Paulette, who satisfied a bucket list item. 88 years old. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag KCDataStrongFan for a chance to have it featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Brad Brock with a runner at third, 2 down.
Starts him off with a split finger. Got a fastball, low to mid 90s. He likes to sink it. Slider and a split finger that we just saw.
Brad Brock this year has inherited 22 runners and has allowed 14 to score. Not this time, as he gets Zobrist on a ground ball to second base. So the Royals get a leadoff single from Orlando. They get him to third, but no further. And at the end of 7, it's still 6-3 Baltimore. across the Midwest to enjoy a game at Kauffman Stadium. It's the Forever Royal Fan Express, and the next stop is Wichita on September 5th. Fans in designated markets will have the opportunity to win a trip to the K. So go to Royals.com/Fan Express for more information. Jeremy Guthrie is beginning his 3rd inning out of the Royals bullpen. You know, it's interesting how Ned Yost has been able to mix his back end of the bullpen guys. Madsen, Hochevar, Herrera, Davis, Holland. Mix that with guys who can pitch long relief. The Royals bullpen has thrown the 2nd most innings in the American League. Now normally that's a bad thing. That has the recipe of a tired, worn down bullpen, but there have been so many games like this one where a starter doesn't go long for Ned Yost, and yet he doesn't have to chew up his bullpen. I mean, Guthrie can keep at it, and Cueto goes 5 innings, and Ned Yost only uses 2 relievers. Or 1 reliever, I should say, 2 total pitchers.
No, this might be the most balanced bullpen Ned's had in his time here. I mean, he's got long guys, he's got short guys, he's got 4 closers down there. And with the starting pitching having the 2nd fewest innings, someone's got to pick up those innings.
He's got guys like Chris Young out there. He's got Jeremy Guthrie. Franklin Morales can give you a couple of innings. Luke Hochevar can give you a couple of innings. Reeders, who once caught Jeremy Guthrie, is down on strikes. Guthrie has struck out 2 and 2 1/3 scoreless. Guthrie had a very interesting start to his career. He was the Indians' 1st-round pick in 2002, but he signed a major league contract. Pierce, who hits the Orioles' 4th home run tonight, and that one is in the water. That is number 8 for Pierce, and the Orioles lead 7-3 in the 8th inning.
Two-seam fastball that was inside, wasn't out over the middle of the plate. Pierce just pulled his hands in, and tonight with Cueto pitching him inside, he's been getting nothing but a steady diet of balls inside. He's looking in there. There's no doubt about it.
He knows the Royals plan for him.
That's right. It'll have to change in tomorrow's game if he's in there.
Nice play. Infante floats it. Oh, and Hosmer, with the long legs and the long wingspan, is there for the out.
Didn't look like that was going to make it there, but he's been good at those plays. He just feathers that ball over there. Quick release.
Now Scope, just to finish the story on Guthrie, with a major league contract, there were no free trips to the minor leagues, so he ran out of options, even though he only pitched 16 games for the Indians in parts of 3 seasons. Now, he pitched quite a bit in the minor leagues, but he ran out of options. 16 games, 1 start. The Indians put him on waivers. A former 1st-round pick. The Orioles picked him up, and Jeremy had 5 seasons there. 3 times he was the Orioles' opening day starter. And those major league contracts to draftees no longer exist. Those were erased in the most recent collective bargaining agreement. Scope strikes out. Guthrie strikes out 2 in the inning, but Pierce homers. And now to the bottom of the 8th, and Baltimore leads by 4. Sprint cuts of the game against him tonight.
He had it working early in the game. He was keeping his slider ball down, inducing not one, but he got 2 double plays. Good location with the slow curve, slider, everything was working for him. Second inning, they bunched a couple doubles together, got 2 runs off of him.
Slider for a strike. Brad Brock to Lorenzo Cain. Or did they call that outside? They did. 1 ball, no strikes. Cain 2 hits, and he is grounded into a double play. Now a strike, 1-1. Brad Brock with the long road to the big leagues, a 42nd round draft pick. Head in the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Royals have gone down in order only once tonight. Cain is trying to slow down Brock. Well, maybe Johnny Cueto can help him out with that a little bit.
Yeah, he pulled it a little.
Cain strikes out. 1 down in the 8th.
It's a nice weapon to have, that split finger. That split finger pitch is designed. Well, it looks like he's holding that more as a changeup.
Sure acts like a splitter.
It does, and that's got some great life to it.
Don't normally refer to a pop-up as a big play in the game, but Hosmer 0 for 3 tonight, hit a pop-up to short in the 6th inning, and Ryan Flaherty made a very good play going out from short into left center field to make the catch, and that took quite a bit of steam out of the Royals' 6th inning. If Flaherty does not make that play, the Royals have the bases loaded, nobody out, and are poised for a big inning. But because of that play, that really helped Wei-Yin Chen get through the 6th, and he only allowed 1 run. And Hosmer for the third time tonight. Grounds out to the right side, and there are 2 down. This was with 2 on and nobody out.
Yeah, you know, the Royals aren't getting the breaks that they want tonight. Zobrist, good heads-up job of running the bases, getting back so they didn't double them up at least. But there's been several balls hit foul, a couple line-outs right at people. That happens.
Outside to Kendrys Morales. 2 hits, a run scored, and an RBI. Morales has driven in 87. That ties him for 3rd in the American League. Coming into tonight, trailing Chris Davis, the Orioles first baseman, and Toronto's Josh Donaldson. 2-1. Now Morales hasn't played every game at designated hitter. He's had a few at first base, and yet with 87 RBIs, I will point out to you that last year the Royals got 59 RBIs from their designated hitters. 3-2.
There's no doubt about it what Morales has meant to this offense. Not just what he's done, but also the protection he's been providing for Hosmer. Hosmer getting some more walks, but Morales sitting behind him doesn't feel like he has to do it all.
And now we know that 86 of Morales' 87 RBIs have been from the DH spot. So 86 from all designated hitters this year. So not Morales, all designated hitters for the Royals have driven in 86 this year, 59 last year. He'll take a walk, and he's on for the 3rd time. And now Buck Showalter, with the tying run in the batting cage behind the Royals dugout, will make a pitching change.
Oh well, let's see what they can do to the lefty.
This is Brian Mattis. Royals have had tonight Mike Moustakas has had a couple.
Yeah, he had just a little bad luck there and there too. That would have drove in a run.
Ryan Mattis faces Moustakas for the second time in this series. Mattis walked Moustakas, coming on in game 2 last night. Morales just walked against Brad Brock. 2 down. And 1 ball, 1 strike.
Mattis has a 90 to 94 mile an hour sinking fastball, slider, curve, and a pretty good changeup he'll throw for both lefties and righties.
Two and 1. Hit well into right center field. Mike Moustakas continues his tear. It is the first regular season home run for Moustakas against Mattis, but he also took him deep in game 1 of the championship series in Baltimore. So Showalter's move backfires, and the Royals are down by 2 in the 8th inning.
Yeah, that's a Moose souvenir for sure. And that ball was tattered and battered. A fastball up in the zone. Moose taking his hands back, doing very little with his body. I love the fact that he's so quiet with his lower half, and he's letting his hands do the work. That's the reason Moose is coming back. Now, don't fight over it.
Sign, both sides of that sign says it all.
Moose is making him happy tonight.
Darren O'Day comes on to face Salvador Perez. Well, if it happens from time to time, you got a pitcher who's just cruising along like Brad Brock was. Runner at first, 2 down, 4-run game, and Clark Showalter brings in the lefty, and he gives up a home run, and now he's got to make another pitching change to bring in O'Day. There are cameras everywhere, just waiting for moments like that one.
O'Day, sinking fastball, slider, not overpowering. Tough to pull. Got to shorten up and try to go to right field on him. Unless you see a mistake hanging, then you can bang it. But look, O'Day's got a good sweeping slider. He's throwing 2 in a row now to salvage.
Still 1-2. O'Day pitched last night. He got the final 2 outs of the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Royals 3-2 win. Getting a ground ball double play from Salvador Perez, who's come on to face Sal specifically the last 2 nights. Shallow left. Pierce comes up and makes the play. So after the Orioles hit 4 home runs, the Royals have their first. Mike Moustakas puts the Royals within 2.
Moustakas with a 15th home run. Made a fan happy. My hero. With a home run souvenir and your phone blowing up, you gotta like it.
Mike Moustakas was hitting below 200 going back to June, the end of June. Batting average a drop below 270, and now 4 home runs in his last 6 games.
Yeah, and you see that 6th home run off a lefty this year. His career high was last year was 4. Moose is on the loose against the lefties.
This is the 4th inning out of the bullpen for Jeremy Guthrie. He's given up 1 run on a home run to Pierce. Ryan Flaherty followed by Manny Machado and Gerardo Parra. And Zach Britton, the Orioles closer, gets ready for the bottom of the 9th inning. Drilled to deep center field. Kane is back, and the Orioles get a run back. The Baltimore Orioles have hit 5 home runs, 2 against Guthrie, and it is 8-5. Ryan Flaherty, when this game started, had 2 hits in his last 38 at-bats. He is singled, walked, lined to first, and homered to straightaway center field.
And that's an impressive shot from Flaherty. That ball's out over the plate. He barreled it with authority. You could tell by the sound that it was well struck, right on the meat of the bat.
Second time the Royals have allowed 5 home runs in one game. The first time was that Memorial Day game at Yankee Stadium. Guthrie started that game. So 8 runs for Baltimore, and all 8 have come on home runs. Manny Machado has one of the 5 home runs. He had a 2-run shot back in the 3rd inning. Cueto gave up home runs to Machado, Scope, and Davis. And now Pierce and Flaherty have homered off of Guthrie.
Well, you'd think we're in Camden Yards, a home run ballpark, the way the ball's flying here off the O's bats.
Baltimore has lost 6 straight, their longest losing streak of the year, and they had only scored 15 runs in those 6 games. Only 5 runs in the first 2 games here. Now they have 8 runs, 12 hits, 5 home runs tonight. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Machado.
Coming to the ballpark tonight, I'm sure a lot of fans weren't expecting to see 6 runs given up by Johnny Cueto and the home runs. We were expecting him to have a nice bounce back outing after giving up 13 career high hits in Boston.
Parra is 1 for 4 with a single and a run scored. Machado runs. Perez throws him out.
Machado going for his 17th steal of the year. That's the most on the Birds. And I don't know if he got his hand in there or not. Showalter might want to take a peek at it. We'll see. Salvi, nice transfer from glove to hand. He's out. 6th time he's been caught.
Well hit into left center field, but Kane will have some room, and he runs onto the track for the 2nd out. In the bottom of the 9th inning, the Royals have Paulo Orlando, Omar Infante, and Alcides Escobar. Ned Yost has Gerard Dyson, Drew Butera, and Alex Rios on the bench. Jones grounds it to Escobar. He'll throw from the grass. Low, and Hosmer picks it with a backhand.
What a glove. What an arm by Esky. See if the Royals have any fight left in their game. Look at this. Hosmer with a great pickup. Out.
By Miller Lite. 1 year ago tonight, Alex Gordon on national TV against Glenn Perkins hits a walk-off home run. A huge win for the Royals. And in a moment that was summed up by Denny Matthews making the call on radio prior to Alex's home run. If this is your year, these are the games that you win. The Royals won the game, and as we found out, it was the Royals' year.
It sure was.
Zach Britton, who has blown just 3 saves this year, is going for his 33rd. He had 37 last year for the Orioles.
He's got a good fastball. Slider and a changeup.
Paulo has a 2-hit game. Back to Britton on 1 hop. 1 down. Zach Britton for years was a big pitching prospect in the Orioles minor league system, and when the Orioles were really struggling 2008, 2009, 2010, if you talk to someone associated with them, they say, boy, there's a kid named Zach Britton in the minor leagues they're very excited about. Never really put it together as a big league starter, so they moved him to the bullpen last year and made him the closer, and he saved 37 games.
Well, you can see with that mid to upper 90s fastball he's got with some great movement. Looks like he's cutting it and sliding that slider. He's effective, firm. It's kind of like Wade Davis, but he's a lefty.
With Coach Haver, another example. Career took off when he moved to the bullpen. Grounded to Machado. He bobbles, recovers, 2 down. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefebvre, Rex Hudler with Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery coming up on Boulevard Royals Live. Ball 1 to Alcides Escobar. Producer Joe Lavero, director Steve Kurtenbach, associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, Dave Holtzman, and the producer of Royals Live is Brian Shapiro. One ball, 1 strike. Escobar is 0 for 4 so far tonight. I mentioned when Mike Moustakas hit a big home run against Mattis last inning. He had a big home run against Mattis in the championship series. That was game 1. Escobar had a big go-ahead RBI double against Zach Britton, whom he faces here. A slicer up the right field line in the rain. Two and two.
Not a lot of joy at the K tonight unless they can find some 2-out magic.
3 and 2. Paid attendance tonight over 33,000. 33,003. Royals and Orioles fans getting along. a start. The Royals need another runner for a chance. Zobrist 1 for 3, hitting .287, as a Royal .333, and as a Royal at Kauffman Stadium .440. A little high for ball 1. Two balls, no strikes. Now Wieters is a little concerned. Zobrist has 16 plate appearances against Britain. That's the most of any Royal. 3 hits, 3 walks. Hoping to get Kane to the plate, who's one of the best in the league against left-hand pitching. Three and one. 98. Zobrist, patient hitter, understanding the situation, going to make Britton, who has walked Escobar and fell behind 3-0, throw him 3 strikes.
Yeah, and you know this one here, the 3-run lead, is fastball down the middle. Same thing.
Escobar runs, Zobrist strikes out, and that ends the game. So the Orioles end a 6-game losing streak, which was a season high. The Royals lose a 4-game winning streak. And if you include the postseason, that ends an 8-game losing streak for the Orioles against the Royals. Final score 8-5. We'll be right back.